So thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed it, if it felt it was useful. Now let's get into this. So before we get into this, I'm going with an audio format this time. This is just a once off. I kind of try and do an audio once a month. And while we're still, in lockdown, have a few slides of what pre-lockdown looked like. So that's out of the way. Let's get into this now. Canelo Alvarez, we've heard in the last 24 hours several names be floated around, and in fact we've also heard, I'm going to try and get the article up here now actually, that one of the names that was reported yesterday, I believe, was Sergey Derevyanchenko. Now, they were in talks to fight on September 14th, which was the date that I think Canelo Triple G was being discussed, the trilogy fight. Obviously Canelo should have fought Billy Joe Saunders on May the 2nd. Obviously that was put, on the back foot. And now people are wondering, well, who will Canelo fight in September? Because Canelo, under normal circumstances, normally fights in May and September, occasionally in December, but that's more so if he's been very inactive that year, as he was in 2018 when he had that tainted meat issue. But one of the opponents who's being named here, and it's on a list Golden Boy are considering, it's at super middleweight, and it is Anthony Dirrell. So I'm going to read this article here. This was only published recently by Boxing Scene. It says Anthony Dirrell is amongst a small group of opponents Golden Boy is considering for Canelo Alvarez's next fight. Golden Boy's Alvarez's promoter is in the process of exploring a fight against a cheaper opponent than Billy Joe Saunders for the Mexican superstar's next bout, because he might have to box at least once without fans in attendance due to obviously the COVID-19 restrictions with regards, fans in, anywhere really, like large gatherings. It says, in addition to Dirrell, super middleweight contender Derevyanchenko. Okay, obviously, yeah. So I think I'm going to go on and see if I can get any bit more. Interestingly enough, it does say that Alvarez is advised by Al Heyman, and they have had a very less than stellar history. I think it's fair to say. I know Al Heyman, how many years ago was it? Was it 5-6 years ago, maybe more? But Al Heyman took a lot of Golden Boy fighters, a lot of Oscar De La Hoya fighters. I think he was even talking soon Al Heyman at one stage. I don't even know if that went true or not. But it's very rare you see Al Heyman fighters fight on other platforms. And obviously Dirrell, he's been an Al Heyman fighter for a while, as too as his brother. But really, Anthony Dirrell, Andre Dirrell was always, in my opinion, was always better than Anthony. Anthony has only ever had 2 losses. Obviously, the first loss came during his first reign as WBC World Middleweight Champion, or WBC Super Middleweight Champion, I should say. He obviously lost to Badu Jack. He was the favourite in that fight, actually, if I remember. That was actually considered an upset at the time. That was back in 2015. He lost to Badu Jack. Then, obviously, he really didn't do much. He fought some fairly kind of routine guys. I think the best win he had after, and it is actually quite a good win on paper when you think about it, but the best win he had really is probably Caleb Truax, if you look at it throughout, because he got rid of Truax in a round. This is the same Caleb Truax who beat James DeGale a couple of years ago. Obviously, he recently fought Avni Yildirim. That was a close competitive fight. It was stopped because of a head clash, and then obviously was stopped in 9 rounds by David Benavidez. Benavidez, of course, is widely considered one of the top guys, if not the top guy, at 168 pounds. So this is who they are looking to push Canelo Alvarez in with, potentially on September 14th. And as they've stated in this article here, that it is a cheaper fight than Billy Joe Saunders, which you would imagine would make a lot of sense to get somebody cheaper in. And I had my suspicion something like this would happen. To be honest, I actually thought it'd be the other way around. I thought it'd be maybe a big fight in September and then a cheap opponent in December, a bit like what Canelo did in 2018. But obviously different circumstances in 2018. Fans could get in to attend these fights. So Billy Joe was set to make in the region of $8 million. Don't know what that is in pounds, for the Alvarez fight if it had happened back at the start of May. So obviously when you look at Dirrell, what does he bring to the table? It doesn't bring a title, it doesn't really bring anything. So obviously, and he's coming off a loss, so obviously they wouldn't be in a position to give him $8 million. They'll probably give him a hell of a lot less, but you'd be still talking 7 figures. If you're fighting Canelo Alvarez, you're talking big paydays. Even if you are brought in as, say, a sacrificial lamb, as you would imagine Dirrell will, because he's 35 years old now, and he's definitely seen better days, definitely. So you would imagine he wouldn't get anything close to 8 million, but it'd still be a decent payday. You'd be still talking 7 figures, the low 7 figures, maybe 1 to 2 mil. Most fighters would still take that. So, as I said, they have Derevchenko here. They've also said potential opponent. Another one is Jamal Charlo. I can't see that happening. I'd be amazed if Charlo gets a Canelo fight, or even takes it, to be honest with you, because Charlo has had offers to fight Demetrius Andre. Obviously, Demetrius Andre is with Eddie Hearn, career high paydays, and no go. So that's an interesting one. I can't see Charlo taking it, but someone like Dirrell, 35 years old, with Al Heyman, really, because we've seen the only real time you see Al Heyman let his fighters, we'll say, off the lead is when if you look at it like Andy Ruiz when he beat AJ. Ruiz, brand new signing to Al Heyman, only just debuted for him, probably didn't think he'd beat Anthony Joshua. He beat Anthony Joshua, there you go. So maybe something like this. Obviously, I will not in a month of Sundays pick Dirrell to beat Canelo if he gets that fight, but it's a cheap opponent, and Al Heyman would probably let him loose. He wouldn't really worry too much about someone like Dirrell. Not in a bad way, not in a disrespectful way, but he's definitely seen better days. So yeah, that could be a potential opponent. And as they're stating, obviously, if Canelo fights in September, high likelihood it'd be behind closed doors. If not behind closed doors, with a very, very small crowd, probably only about even 1,000. Obviously, if you're talking about him fighting in December, a different story. You may very well get full crowds for that. Hopefully, come what December. Hopefully. So those are my thoughts on this quick little video here. Hope you enjoyed the videos I have playing in the background. Hope you enjoyed the video in itself. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe, of course, if you are new. And as always, I will talk to you.